Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Doc and Queenie Guest Live. Hey, Queenie.
I love Guest Live. What time is it anyway?
I have no idea. I don't have a watch on. It's high noon. Yes.
I know.
We have a very special guest today. Somebody that we have been networking with. I was thinking about it the other day, like, how long have we known Debbie Dubb?
Hmm. At least 4 years for me because I know we started networking on Coffee Club and on No Excuses. I think when we went that direction, and so yeah, I think about 4 years, huh, Deb?
Welcome, Debbie Dubb.
Yes. Well, I didn't actually come to um the one that you mentioned,
Yeah,
but
No Excuses. Michelle was there often, and we started doing trainings and things like that from that group too. So
yeah,
it's very, very awesome. 4 years has flown, Doc. What do you think?
Crazy.
I
It's
know, and it's
crazy.
crazy. We've gotten to see each other like what, 3 times or four?
In person. In
Yeah,
person is fun. I know.
once a year. That's gotta
Our
be
annual get together. Yeah.
crazy.
So, Debbie, for the people that don't know you, could you just give us a little introduction to who you are?
Sure. I am Debbie Miller. I am a wife of one for 53, now going on plus years. I have 5 grown sons with 5 daughters of love. And between them, we have now 18 plus one grandchildren. 18 should show up by the end of October. So
That's an entire baseball team.
Yeah.
we do. We
On
have
both
two base.
sides.
We can have a whole team. I mean, a whole
Yeah.
game. We got enough for 2 teams, right?
That's pretty cool. Wow, that is awesome.
Oh,
And
thanks.
we know you out in the networking world as the guru of Legal Shield. So could you explain what Legal Shield is and how you got into that? What made you go, hey, I want to help others with Legal Shield?
All right, thank you. Well, when the first 3 of our sons were little, we were full-time ministry in northern Nebraska, where we traveled often, 75 miles a day or farther. The closest McDonald's was about 3 hours away, so our kids actually did not know what McDonald's was
That's
until
probably
we
good.
moved to Kansas City. So that was maybe a good thing. But anyway, but while we were in those miles of driving, we often would think that a will would be handy, just in case something should happen. We didn't know an attorney. We knew that every penny we had at full-time service was generally spent putting a roof over their head, probably some clothes on their back, and shoes. Even 3 and under go through shoes occasionally, and at least in the winter they wore shoes in Nebraska.
You can get away with it in the summer, yes.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Yes.
But so with those things in mind, it sort of went on the back shelf. We didn't know what to do. We thought about it occasionally. We couldn't actually figure out who we'd even want to be responsible for our kids. So, it just kept getting pushed off. After we moved to Kansas City a few years later, we were introduced to Legal Shield by a friend of ours. And by that time we had 5 sons. And the reason he specifically thought of us was because some of the people that he'd just heard talking about it also were 5 brothers that were doing Legal Shield together. And we're quite successful. And so at that point, I was really sick, and having 5 kids to take care of, I thought I had plenty to do, didn't really need anything else. Ken saw the value. He was a paint contractor by that time, so he had plenty of contracts that could have somebody review them, make sure we weren't giving away the farm. So, And of course, the will thing popped up like, oh yeah, whoa, we've been wanting to do that for a long time. So that was something that he saw, and he was like, we can do this. One of the beauties of Legal Shield is that it doesn't take a full-time job. You don't have to like quit your other activities. This can be done part-time, spare time, almost no time. But it does take some time. So it was something that he latched onto, and he was going to one of the meetings, the trainings that we had in St. Louis, and there was a lady speaker coming to Kansas City who had written a book, a really awesome book about how women entrepreneurs were really crushing it. And so he wanted me to go and get a book from this lady, but go buy a book and to hear her story. And of course, that hooked me, even though I still had 5 sons at home to take care of and plenty of other things. But to hear her story and then read her book and see how she had done in her spare time, had been successful, it was really a great thing. So that's gotten me to where I guess we are. It was a family effort. Kid and I both work it together for many years. Now he does do a lot of the work, but I guess I'm more of the in front of the camera type stuff.
You're the front person.
Yeah, the front person. Perfect.
So Debbie, you know that one of my favorite things in the whole world is networking, and that's how I met Doc. I know that we met 5 years ago this past July, Doc, and that does seem like the time has seriously flown. It's definitely how I met you. So how have you taken your love of Legal Shield and the fact that your family needed the will piece? How have you turned that into not only a business for you, but how did you start the networking piece of your journey? That sounds like a lot of different steps got you here.
Well, while I was still sick, I actually got into networking. One of the things that was the obvious about how I felt was that I couldn't talk. I mean, literally, I was whispering, and it was so quiet that even people on the phone would hang up on me, thinking that either I was somebody weird or I wasn't there. So
Wow.
one of my one of the places that I started networking had one of our good friends, and she would interpret for me. I would say my introduction, and then she would say it louder so everyone could hear what I had to say. So that was pre-COVID, and then it was interesting though, as COVID hit, all of those things, places dried up, and I felt like, I was actually getting my voice finally back after 20 plus years of
My gosh.
gone. And nobody was really interested in doing the online networking. And hello, I'm not the techie person in Kansas City, but I'm like, surely we can figure this out. Somebody knows how to do it. I knew of Kathy Weaver before then, but not really well enough to say, oh, hey, I'm sure Kathy will do something, or even Doc. But, I thought some of the people that we knew were probably techie people, and they would step up. And when they didn't, I decided, well, hey, I'll announce like, hey, let's do something on something, and still network, see each other, encourage each other, because it was the long dry season of everybody saw nobody, and anybody you did see was gloomy and doomy and had a list of who they knew was sick and who they thought might get it. And it was so we all needed to find some hope and some cheer. And so anyway, we started a few things, and we did 2 o'clock on Tuesdays for tea. And that was fun for a while until it decided, yes, nice tea cup. But yes, your miracles with water. But anyway, we, all of us had to hunt and pivot, as Kathy and you often remind us. So we're pivoting, and we're still pivoting like every day. And I love spending time with you networking, and I'm super glad, obviously, to have met you guys. But as we all know, we know people now that we would never, ever have had an opportunity to know. We know people in Canada, England, all over Europe and Australia and Africa. And, those are, I was doing good just to know people in Kansas City and Nebraska and Wyoming, and I thought, wow, that's pretty good. But
I think Doc has some superstar friends in the Caribbean as well.
Yes, I do.
All you have to do is say, oh, let's go to the Caribbean, and Doc's in. So yeah.
Well, what I love, we have Legal Shield for our family, and what I love is there's so many different things you can use it for, so many different situations. And we had a family situation that we needed help with in another state, and so our Legal Shield in Kansas recommended a person in another state, and it was seamless, and they, everybody was very friendly and very helpful. What is your favorite part of Legal Shield, as far as, is there a story you can tell that, they came through and, you'd like to share with people?
Well, as I mentioned, I suppose the will thing was the big thing in the beginning, but I love how our attorneys are compassionate and helpful. And I have had the pleasure, ? Of meeting a few attorneys here in the Midwest. And once you get through the hourly thing, they can be friendly and helpful and cooperative. But I love that our attorneys, because of the way it's set up, they can be friendly right off the get-go, and they don't have to worry about, oh, wait a minute, I have to turn on the timer. And I know some of our people are a little confused because they have to, before the attorneys actually talk to us, they have to figure out which plan they have, because Legal Shield is over a 52-year company, and our plan has changed a little bit in the past years. But even with the changes, you can have a family plan, but you can also have a business plan. And if you have a business question, they need to know which part of the business plan you have. And so, they check all those things out. Not that they're not trying to help you or want to help you, but they want to give you the best value for your dollar. I love too that when I've had people who had the family plan, but were asking questions that were pushing into business, they would say, well, this is more of a business question. Will you be making money with this? And, if the answer is yes, then they have to stop where you're at. But it's okay if you call me and say, hey, I need a business plan like right now. And we take care of that online, and you can call back with the question soon and have it dealt with. So
Debbie, one of my favorite stories that you tell when we're in several of our networking groups is that lady whose husband was serving our country, and she had a car repair. Can you share that with our friends?
Yes, I love that story too. I'm, as another female, when I went to car part stores or mechanic shops, I often felt this way, didn't think about this. This lady actually was at the mechanic shop because her air conditioner wasn't working on a day like we recently had here in Kansas City, with the temperature soaring into the hundreds and something or other. So the mechanic was telling her he needed to replace both water pumps in her car and the air conditioner would be fine. And as you mentioned, Kathy, her husband was deployed and obviously not able to reach him. And so she didn't have anybody else to call. She actually called the law firm and talked to the attorney right away, which is quite fantastic that your attorney would be that quick on the draw. But he listened to all the details, where she was at, got the phone numbers, the man's name that was her mechanic even, and got her calmed down, which to me, that would have been a big deal to get calmed down. But he called the mechanic shop and talked to the mechanic himself and just mentioned that he knew that there was no car in the world, not just in the US, but in the world that had more than one water pump. Therefore, this car would get fixed right away correctly and with the least expense as possible and get this sweet young woman on her way. And if not, he would be sure that this company was investigated. And I mean, I was stuck on the fact, why would she call an attorney? Because she could have gotten a woman, and who would she have known what to do? But the great thing about Legal Shield is that we have a lot of attorneys in an office, and the right person calls you back.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so yeah, that totally blows my mind that he would take this situation and actually, I mean, it was seriously a legal matter that most of us would never have thought of.
So Debbie, where is Legal Shield? Is it just the United States, or does it branch out throughout the world?
We now cover all 50 states and most of Canada. There's a little bit of Canada we don't cover yet, but I'm sure they're working on that. We're trying to help a lot of people, so we're doing a good job. I guess that reminds me of a different story that a friend of mine told me, that he had a friend in California who loved his $500 attorney. Loved him so much that he would not even think about using Legal Shield. And his friend finally wore him down, and he's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll try it for a little while. I mean, it's a month to month, so it's not like you're signing away the rest of your life. His friend finally called the attorney, the number that he had. When the people answered the phone, it was the same law firm that he had been using all these years. And when the attorney called him back to deal with the situation, it was his friend who he'd been using as $500 an hour. And he was surprised because, first off, the guy called him back like the same day that he had called with the question, which he had never done before at $500. And so they dealt with whatever the situation was, and it was all taken care of in probably less than 2 weeks, which was about the time the guy usually got back to him in the first place. So he was excited and also upset because he had put this off for so long when he could have had better help and better response time for a fraction of the cost. So
Wow.
but we have great attorneys.
Sounds like
So-
you do. I love the fact, Doc, I just wanted to mention, I love the fact that Debbie's company helps a family your size with all the different components in your family, and single people as well. And it's very nice that they have what do you call options, choices as far as the pricing plans. And the business piece is huge. And I really do, Deb. I think all bases are covered when you have a Legal Shield, and definitely an ID Shield account. I seriously do. Doc, does your family ever use the Legal Shield perks?
Yes. And I was gonna race through the list of what we've used Legal Shield for. I'm a business and personal, business, they helped me with copyright.
Oh,
They
wow.
helped me, I'm trying to think of what else now. I can't think of the business, but contracts with my business. Personal, they helped, with the family member in a different state. Some things we had to do with legal care, that kind of thing, wills, American Disabilities Act. I actually had a scam company try and charge me for something I didn't purchase. And
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
incredible. They flipped it in one day with one letter. Yeah, and I got my money back, of course. So yeah, and now I've already forgotten the question you just asked me, Queenie.
No, I do though. I think it's fantastic, honestly, with the different components that Legal Shield offers and to be able to have reps all around. Debbie networks all the time. And Deb, it's so great to always see you at our different events. And Doc and Queenie, we certainly appreciate your support of this community. And it really is just, for me, Denise calls it family, of course, but it really does feel like that. This is not just a hi, nice to see you. This is a bond piece. And I love that because Legal Shield seems like a family type business, like we're here for you. And you can tell with the water pump. I'm going to go take mechanic school because of that story. And so it's back to that same drill. You can help Doc with the business, Doc with the copywriting, all the different components that we have going on in our world these days. And I just love that part. Besides your fantastic QR code on your screen, if anyone's watching the replay and can blow the screen up on their computer or their phone to read your QR code, what's the best way for people to actually get a hold of you, Deb?
Well, they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Each of those places as Debbie Miller.
Okay.
I actually have a YouTube channel as well that is growing, not nearly as fast and as awesome as Doc or you, but Doc has gotten right up there with her 1,000 member subscription. So yay for you, Doc. And Kathy, not far behind, just a couple need a couple more people to subscribe. So
we'll get her on the gardening. We'll get her out gardening. That'll do it.
That will do it. That will be a OMG kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow, that would, shock everybody.
Yeah.
But we could get her in the K room and have her
That's not
demonstrate.
gonna work
even better.
either, so nice try, cute friends. No.
Well, it looks like we're out of time, but so they can reach out to you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or blow this video up and use your QR code. That's fantastic. And I would suggest to anybody that's interested or even just wants to talk about it to reach out to Debbie. She has, like you said, you've been in this business for a while and you know your stuff. And that's what I love about Legal Shield. You know, there's never any like, well, I'm not sure. And if people don't know the answer, and I've seen you do it too, you'll ask, and you've got a great support with the law firms, no matter where people live, that they are integrous. And I love the fact that they call you back. It's like within an hour. I don't know if is that a rule? It's within an hour. If you call, you tell them your problem and then they hook you up with the right attorney and they call you back in an hour. And I love that because
we require they call you back within 8 hours. So
I've had an hour turnaround pretty quick every time. And of course I'm like, I don't have much time, so I need you to call me back. So thank you everyone for joining us today on Doc and Queenie Guests Live with our wonderful guest, Debbie "Dub" Miller of Legal Shield. Please reach out to her if you have any questions with legal stuff. And you can reach out to us if you would like, KathyWeaverKC.com and all over social media. Myself, Doc, KitchenGardenExpert.com and all over social media. Until next time, everyone, have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a great Labor Day. And we will see you right back here with Guest Lives, or what is it, the fourth Wednesday, Queenie? We have a class coming up next month in September. Wonder what it's going to be.
Don't tell anybody.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye for now, friends.
Bye.
Thank you.